Radio IMWS.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to a Muhammad Zawa special on Radio IMWS. You'll find out in a moment why it's a special. But before we get on to that, there is a job vacancy that's come up here at the Al Hikmah Center at the IMWS. It's a project coordinator, part-time, 20 hours per week, with a salary of £9,180 per annum. We're looking for, rather, the IMWS is looking for, it's a newly created post and will provide the successful candidate with the opportunity to work for a very successful voluntary sector organization. You will need to be highly motivated and have the ability to develop the project and be prepared to work on your own will be essential. The projects will be around the charitable purposes within the organization, and also around the Al Hikmah Nikah service, which was launched in April 2015. So if you think you have what it takes for that, then all you need to do is contact the Al Hikmah Center on 28 Track Road, Batley, WF177AA, on 01924 500 555, email info@imws.org.uk. You can gain the details and the application form from there, and the closing date for the post is 5 p.m. on Tuesday the 29th of March. If you want to have an informal discussion, you can call Mr. Saeed Laher on 07866 383 821. Okay, you can find out more details about that post and a few other posts that are in the in this month's Pegam, and pick up a copy of your at any of your local distributors. Now, on to the main event. Now, if you have a child in Upper Batley High School, as I do, then you will know of how the school has been raising its game. And in not too long a time, the school, once graded as inadequate, has now received an Ofsted good, with a few other accolades along the way. I could say it's all happened since her regular appearance on Radio IMWS, but that would be too close to the truth. But it is a pleasure to welcome back into the studio the head of Upper Batley High School, Sam Vickers. Sam, good evening and welcome back.
Good evening, and thank you for inviting me this evening.
It's an absolute pleasure. First of all, congratulations on the Ofsted grading good.
Super. We're all absolutely over the moon, and it's congratulations to all our staff and students, because, as you've alluded to, we are now good in all 4 areas, which is fabulous.
Yes, you are indeed. Now, last time, I just want to go back a little bit, because I know you've been at the school a while now. So tell us how long you've been there.
I've been there for nearly 3 years. As you'll remember, I went as deputy head at the time. And then when our head teacher moved on, I was acting head. Then the position came up, so I decided to apply. And I've been head teacher since October 2014, so just over a year now, year and a bit.
And remind us again, how long since the school was last graded as good?
Well, we've found out that the school hasn't been good, should I say, since 1997. And we believe, from talking to colleagues at Kirklees Council, that we are the first school, certainly in Kirklees, and we think maybe wider than that, to ever go from a grade 4 to a grade 2, that's inadequate, to a good, within a 12-month period. So that makes it even better. It
does indeed. And just staying with a little bit of the early days, I know you weren't expecting this, but when you first came to the school, because obviously you've never been out of school, naturally, but you're not from the area as well. Yeah. What was your reaction to the school itself? Because it was this Yorkshire school, probably just chugging along, happy to be whatever it was, without any real aspiration.
Yes, I mean, it was an interesting place when I first arrived. I'd worked in Bradford previously to coming here, and was a deputy head in a large mixed comprehensive with the 6th form, so a much bigger school. And I wanted to experience a different school. That's what attracted me to Batley Business and Enterprise College as it was then. Plus, with it being a boys' school, I was keen to see whether that did make a difference to standards, and were boys and girls more focused if they're educated separately. The staff team at Batley Business and Enterprise College as it was then, there were some very aspirational people, but I think the word that sums the school up really is it was comfortable. As you said, it was kind of trotting along, keeping going. There were some aspects of excellent practice, and there were some aspects of practice that needed to be better. I have said before on this station that it was a little bit like the land that time forgot. It was a lovely place to be, with supportive staff and people who really cared about the young people, but it needed to be much more modern, much more bespoke, and a curriculum really designed for boys' high achievement.
Yep. Now, being the deputy head. Now, this is good. This is going to ask those questions no one else has probably asked you before. Being the deputy head, you must have wanted to do things immediately, having the drive that you do have, which we've come to learn over the particularly since you've been the head, and but during whilst you were the acting head as well. You had that drive behind you. Being the deputy head, you must have been frustrated at times.
It can be for anybody who's worked in that position. When you are a second, as a deputy is, you're not the person that makes all of the decisions, and the buck doesn't stop with you. So you can have an opinion and you can voice that opinion, but as you know, if you're not ultimately the person making the decisions, there are things that you are happy with and there are things that you are not. And I think any good deputy or any good second in department, whether it's a school or any business really, will always see ways to improve, and that's the idea really. There's something fantastic about when you are the person who makes the decisions and you can implement changes you think are necessary. So yes, it can be frustrating, but that's all part of the learning curve of being a deputy. Well,
those necessary changes that were brewing in the background seem to have come to life once they did finally give you the headship there. Now then, listeners at home, remember that you are listening live to Radio IMWS. Right at this moment, I'm Brother Muhammad. In the studio, we do have the head teacher, Sam Vickers, from Upper Batley Upper Batley High School. I will get right eventually. Upper Batley High. You can call the studio on 01924505629 if you want to ask a question. WhatsApp or text us on 07460809218. You can listen to us via the World Wide Web at imws.org.uk, or you can watch us live through YouTube. We are streaming audio and video tonight on YouTube. So go over to YouTube, type in Radio IMWS, you'll get our channel, and you can watch us live right at this moment in time. And I'm very pleased to say that we have got quite a few listeners already there. Right, Sam, now that we've talked about the earlier part, all those ideas and everything brewing there, a lot of work has gone in the last year. Now, talk us through, because where were you, at the point when you took over? I think the school was graded inadequate at that time, was it?
Yes, it was, yes. Yeah.
So what happened thereafter?
So from that, we obviously I've been in a very fortunate position to be able to restructure our senior leadership team and get the right people in the right places to drive forward changes within school. And we started that right at the top, where we reconstituted our governing body, changed the chair, the vice chair, and had some shuffling around in the governing body, some new recruits of new members. And that gave us a real direction and a purpose, which really supported the work I wanted to achieve in the school. From that, we've had some restructuring of the senior leadership team, as I said, and that's given us a real focus on our 4 main areas of improvement, which at that time were about improving behaviour and attitudes to learning, improving results, both attainment and achievement, to ensure every young person makes the progress they should, improving the quality of leadership and management, and that's at all levels, from governors through the staff, right down to students as leaders of their own learning, and the boys taking responsibility for their learning and their actions, both within school and within the community. And that's been essential for us really, but everything culminates in the boys making progress and achieving what they need to achieve. As you know, our mission statement is about tomorrow's successful men, and we really believe that comes from today's hardworking students and having an outstanding staff team. So in the last 2 years particularly, we've absolutely transformed the quality of teaching. That's something I felt wasn't good enough when I first joined the school. Whereas now, every lesson of every day is good or better, and there's a much higher percentage of outstanding teaching. That means the boys get the best deal from every single lesson, every single day. Our attendance has improved. Children are not silly. They vote with their feet. You know, if a lesson's not exciting enough, they dawdle to get there. We've seen a real improvement since the teaching's improved on students wanting to come to school, wanting to go to lessons. And the level of independence we have now with the vast majority of our boys is tremendous. And that, I think, comes from being inspired by the learning in school. I know people who've telephoned questions or text questions before have asked me a lot about behaviour. I am aware that was something that the community had quite a negative perception of our school, whether that's just because it was a boys' school and boys can be rowdy, but that's absolutely transformed now. And it's with great pride we show people around who always say, I can't believe how quiet the school is. Everybody's focused, everybody's working. And to all parents, we say we have an open door policy, come and have a look round, especially if you were a child there yourself and didn't necessarily have the best experience back in the 70s and 80s.
I mean, going back a few years, years, I paid the school a visit, and at that time you did have a police officer lurking around. Do you still have PC? What's his name again?
PC Dobson.
PC Dobson. Is he still lurking around the corridors, or?
He isn't. We sometimes give him a call and invite him in when we're doing things such as An Inspector Calls, one of the novels that's studied in the GCSE English course. He sometimes makes a guest appearance within lessons.
Right.
But I felt that the school didn't need a community policeman. Obviously, things like road safety, etc., we still invite the police in to do talks about all of those. But the school needing a policeman in order to police corridors and manage behaviour is just unnecessary. So no, he's not with us now, and we feel the school's moved on a great deal really from the time when that was necessary.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've noticed as well is, and I mentioned this to you last time, is that the boys seem a lot more confident.
Yes.
Where's that confidence come from? I know you've mentioned all the leadership that's there, and the pupil students who are leaders as well. But where's that confidence come from? Because we haven't seen that in Batley boys for a long time.
I think it comes from our growth mindsets attitude. Everything we do in school has a reason. So when we smartened up the boys' uniform and attitudes, it was our dialogue with the boys is high ties, high standards, and everything's for a reason. It's not just smarten up uniform, but everything's linked back to learning. The growth mindsets culture we have is all about, well, you might not be able to do something now, but if you work hard, you will be able to do it. And many listeners who have teenage boys or even younger boys will know that boys give up very easily. Oh, I can't do it, tell me the answer. And we've really pushed our boys to think for themselves, be more proactive. And if at first you can't find a solution, ask your friend, try and work something out, because half the journey of learning isn't just about finding the right answer. It's about how to solve the problem. And that's our whole approach through the curriculum. We have forest schools, as you know, which is a lesson for year 7 and 8 boys, and that teaches them independence outside of the classroom. And now we've had such a transformation. The boys run our prayer room themselves, they manage all of that, which is supported by staff, but really the boys manage and oversee the whole facility, which is tremendous. We have a group of journalists at the moment working on the BBC School News Report. That's fantastic and goes live this week. They've done all of the bookings of local people themselves. On Friday, they interviewed Joe Cox, the local MP, and they interviewed the Lord Mayor of Kirklees the Monday before. And we found a real motivation for boys, especially around the political agenda, which is tremendous. They want to discuss and debate things and have opinions. But we've received a lot of praise from last week, both Joe Cox and Andy Burnham, just about how articulate our boys are and how well considered and how well structured their questions were in a live political debate. And I think that shows the calibre of the young men in Batley.
Yeah, it does indeed, and I'm very pleased to hear they're interested in politics. I've got a few radio seats available for any of the boys who want to come and do a show here, by the way.
Fabulous.
So we'd be more than happy to accommodate the boys, and I'm sure if anyone fancies it, I'm sure we can sort something out for them as well. Okay, super. You are listening to Radio IMWS. Remember, this is a Muhammad Tower special, and I've got Sam Vickers, the head teacher from Upper Batley High School. I'm going to say that slowly. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But talking about the name of the new name of the school, just slightly moving away from what we've been talking, you did rebrand the whole school in the summer.
Yes.
Now, what I want to know is, before the summer, I know there were some indications of change, a positive change that were already there. Just talk us through some of that early change that happened before the summer. After the initial Ofsted, which was, I think it was 2014, when it was inadequate.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the changes were around improving the quality of teaching and learning, as I've said, getting the right staff in place. And we've had a lot of changes of staff, with kind of 7 of 9 of our middle leaders are all new. So we have an excellent head of department team now, a really strong team of people. All of the leadership team bar one are new. So that's a big change in terms of the team of 6 we have there. And then we've had various teachers move on and been able to replace them with subject experts in every field. So while all of that was going on, in parallel to that, we wanted to, as we've said, inspire the boys and really motivate them. And the rebranding was about an exercise of student leadership. Many of the boys didn't really identify with Batley Business Enterprise College. It's a very long name. And in the community, because it was called college, many people thought we were 16 to 18. not necessarily 11 to 16. So it was a little bit misleading. So we handed the whole rebrand over to the students and said, what do you want the name to be? And a small group of boys started this work. They developed it onto a big entire project with the whole school where every boy voted for the name. And there were several options. And to be honest, Upper Batley High School wasn't one that we'd thought of as a staff team.
Right.
It came from the fact that the boys wanted to say Upper Batley was the area of Batley they deemed to be the posh part, dare I say, where many of them aspired to buy a house up near school later on. But they also wanted it to be known as a school, so it was quite clearly 11 to 16. And high school came from, we are at the top of the hill. Anybody who's down in Tesco's car park can see us up there on the top of the hill looking over Batley. But also high standards, high achievement. So the boys voted on that name, and then they worked very hard on designing the new logo, which, as we've said before, is based on a series of ticks with the star in the middle. That was representing high achievement, with the student as the star at the centre of this. And then the rebranding of the uniform, they came up with the colours and the trim on the blazer. And I think that sense of pride and that independence has really come from a sense of ownership of the school. They feel part of it now, and it's done with rather than done to, and that's essential. We talked about change just before the programme started, and to get anybody to identify with change, it's got to be a process that people want to be part of, and it's all part of the teamwork.
Now, you mentioned there about the upper part of Batley. One of the things you've got in excuse me, in the school is you've got pupils from very affluent to very poor backgrounds. How do you mix that together and end up teaching? Because sometimes it's not easy when people are from, I mean, there's a lot of commonalities between the pupils, because I think it was 95% are South Asian. But when you got wealth that's in there in between as well, it can be very difficult. So how do you manage to get particularly the children down this end motivated and able to perform?
I think we find we manage that very well, because everything's about respect and respecting other people. And actually the wealth aspect doesn't really come into school, because everybody's treated as equals. And there's a lovely line in our Ofsted report, if any listeners have downloaded it to read it, which actually it has a pupil quote which talks about the fact that everybody's treated the same. The only difference between people is where they were born. And we love that quote, because that's kind of regardless of ethnicity, of religion, of race, of wealth, or anything. It's about respecting other people and treating people as you would like to be treated yourself. And that's a culture we've worked hard on. And again, there's a lovely quote in our Ofsted report, which is my favourite line from the whole document, that not just talks about the strength of leadership and the changes in the school, but refers to the school being a harmonious community in which to learn. And I think as a parent, academic standards are obviously crucial, but you also want an educational experience for your child where they're happy, they're safe, they're very well looked after and well cared for, but where they learn how to mix with different people, because life is full of different people. And school should be a place that creates that aspect of education as well, to set children up with the best life chances possible.
Now, you mentioned about the changing in teachers. I mean, 7 out of 9 of your teaching
heads of
departments are all new. That's a massive change. There was a lot of change very quickly in a very short space of time, and the worry was, is it going to gel? Has it gelled?
Absolutely, yeah. And there's a real buzz around the school now, and as anybody who's led change within any organisation before knows, it's not always easy. Initially, people are always a little bit apprehensive about change. Some people get excited, others get nervous. But if people buy into the vision, and that you would, everything we talk about, as I say, is tomorrow's successful men, and if you achieve and believe, you will succeed. And that's a passion that comes through everything we do in school. Some staff decided to move on because it was time for them to retire. Some staff, we just felt we needed a different expertise on the staff team. But we now have an absolutely fantastic staff team that when anybody comes to visit, they always say it's very friendly, very welcoming, but very purposeful and professional. When we got the news about the Ofsted, I say this with a laugh now because this ended up in the local newspapers. When we got the news about the Ofsted, the staff were all so giddy that it ended up being a staff conga that went around the staff room, down the main corridor, to which students were joining in. And in that sense, there's a real sense of teamwork and achievement. And it is like a big family. You know, we talk about family working together and people supporting each other, and that's what we have in our school, fortunately. And the students respect the staff respect the students, and that's what gives us a wonderful culture and a wonderful vibe. We call it the Batley Buzz.
The Batley Buzz.
Batley Buzz.
Now that could have been a school name.
It could, yes.
No, it's no. I'm starting to get used to the Upper Batley High School now. Right, okay. You are listening to Radio IMWS. We're going to take a very quick break. Remember, in the studio we do have Sam Vickers from Upper Batley High School. I think it's just a combination of your name and that's getting me all messed up. But we do have you in the studio, so if you do want to ask a question, the WhatsApp text message on 07460809218, or you can call the studio hotline on 01924505629. We're going to take a break. Back after this. Join the discussion on Radio IMWS every Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday from 8 p.m. Topics include Islam, current affairs, health, legal, education and a weekly program delivered in Gujarati. You can join in by calling the studio on 01924 505 629 or send us a text or WhatsApp on 07460809218. For program schedules, visit www.imws.org.uk. If you would like to volunteer and be part of the Radio IMWS team, email radio@imws.org.uk or call 01924 500 555. Are you running a business from home and need to move into an office, a place where you can confidently meet your clients, or maybe looking to relocate? The Al Hikmah Centre provides office space in a safe, secure and scenic location. With easy access, convenient location, free car parking and free Wi-Fi, hiring an office at the Al Hikmah Centre can allow your business to grow. For more details and special offers, call 01924 500 555 or email info@imws.org.uk. Hold your meetings and conferences at a secluded scenic location just 15 minutes from the M1 and M62. Whether small, medium or large, the Al Hikmah Centre in Batley, West Yorkshire has the facilities to accommodate, including free parking and all the equipment to make your seminar successful. So whether your need is for a handful or over 1,000 attendees, we have all you need. For details and charges, call 01924 500 555 or email info@imws.org.uk. You can find out more about our conference facilities by visiting www.imws.org.uk. Radio IMWS. Okay, welcome back to Radio IMWS, broadcasting live from the Al Hikmah Centre in Batley, West Yorkshire. I'm Brother Muhammad. In the studio, we do have Sam Vickers from Upper Batley High School. Said it without. Nearly. Right, okay. Now then, if you want to ask a question, remember you can WhatsApp or text messages on 07460809218. Studio hotline is 01924 505 629, but nobody seems to talk on the phone anymore. You can listen to us via the World Wide Web at imws.org.uk or via YouTube. Just go over to Radio IMWS and you will see us live in video and sound. So there we go. That's all you need to know. Now, excuse me, Sam. A lot of talk's been going on about the prayer room. So tell us more about this prayer room.
We are quite privileged in school to have a bespoke prayer room set up for the boys, which, as I say, they manage and they organise. And we've been very fortunate that the local community has supported us with the refurbishments of this room. So at the moment, it's all been freshly painted. It has a new carpet. The prayer mats are there. And it's a good facility for the boys to use all year round. It is busier during Ramadan, but we have a regular group of boys who go every single day, especially on Fridays for Friday prayers. But it's a lovely facility to have in school, together with an ablutions room, and that's the area we're just developing at the moment, so that the ablutions room will be larger to accommodate more students, as we'll have more students joining us in September with the new year 7 entry then.
Now just staying on the prayer room for the time being, how do you find, I mean, there's a lot of debate that's happening all over the place about prayer rooms and schools and the rest of it. How do you find the prayer room at Upper Batley High? I mean, is it something that's working positively for the children, or how does it work?
Yes, it is. It works very positively. I mean, we're not a faith school, so it's not that it's just a Muslim prayer room. We open the facilities up to any children who want to use them, and I think that's why everybody accepts it. Everybody knows what the prayer room's there for, and it links to our curriculum. So in the religious education lessons, we're able to talk about the facilities we have and why they're there. But it's also a good time for students to work with staff in a different way. So we have one member of staff who's been at our school for a very long time, our head of maths, who oversees this whole facility.
Yes.
But he's superb at developing student leadership as well.
Yeah.
And this is where we've seen really going from when he used to have to manage this on a daily basis, he can now pass that over to the children to manage. But I think it teaches them responsibility. Also, we have some boys who are doing their fees at the moment, and they're quite happy to lead some of the prayers. And it's really a positive experience for them.
Yeah.
Many of the children who are not Muslim at the moment don't choose to use the prayer room, but the facility is there and is open to them should they want to.
Yeah, so it gives the pupils as well kind of like a bit of pride in the school that there's something that they've got that's theirs and they're using.
Absolutely.
And the school is supporting them,
Yeah.
which is absolutely brilliant. Student numbers you mentioned a moment ago.
Yes.
Now, stuck up on the hill there, you've got down the road, you've got Batley Grammar, you've got Heckmore Grammar, not that far away, which is one of the best schools in Yorkshire, that, you know, as it is. So there's a lot of competition for pupils. How, first of all, what are you doing to make sure that Upper Batley continues to have more good pupils coming? Because one of the key elements, a lot of people look at results, but if your best and your brightest are going elsewhere, what are you going to do? So what's happening about that? And what's September look like? Are you going to have an increase or a decrease?
Well, I think we're doing two things about that. One is, as you say, Hetman White Grammar School is a selective grammar school and is one of the best schools in Yorkshire, which is fantastic to have that on our doorstep. However, we're not a selective school, so we open our doors to anybody. And therefore, I think our results, not to sound in any way to take anything away from Hetman White Grammar School, but because our doors are open to anybody, the progress we make is phenomenal. For some of our children arrive significantly below national averages on their attainment and their achievement at the end of year 6, yet they managed to leave in line with national, if not above national. So that proves the quality of the teaching and the care, guidance and support in our school. And I think that speaks for itself. We have had some children who have sat the entry for the grammar school exam, perhaps not been successful, have come to us and then been hugely successful. We still have children who go on to some of the best sixth forms there are around here, and we're very lucky to have colleges such as Greenhead, etc. in the local area, and Hetman White Grammar School sixth form. Children go there and then they go on to Oxbridge from Greenhead, etc. And we've got some of our boys now studying in either Oxford or Cambridge and going on to fantastic careers. So you don't have to go down a grammar school route. And equally, we're quite proud that we're not a grammar school and we are a genuine community school. Open our doors to everybody because life is a very diverse mix. Yeah. So we have children who do come in on those higher levels from year 6, but we also have children who, for whatever reason, may have underperformed in primary school and then absolutely blossomed during their time with us. And having the open door policy where we always have time for parents, hopefully speaking to any of our parents, people would always say we're accessible. As head teacher, I'm accessible. People can call, book a meeting to come and see me or any member of my team and come and have a look round, because when you walk around our school corridors and see learning taking place and learning in action, that really speaks for itself. Our number of first choices are up massively. We've always had a lower number of first choices, and then some parents have been allocated our school, at first disappointed but then pleased afterwards. Well, this year we've got an increased number of first choices, and I think that signifies the changes we've gone through over the last few years. People now don't see us as, oh, that boys' school at the top of the hill. They see us as a genuine, excellent education establishment.
So how many pupils have you got at the moment?
So we've got 546 in the school at the moment.
I tell you what, you're good to remember that.
And we always used to have year groups of about 90, 92, whereas we've got over 100 coming this September. So that helps because as smaller year groups leave and larger ones arrive, in some ways we're still a relatively small secondary school by having just over 500, but that gives us that sense of family. The teachers can really get to know the children. They get to know their parents and their families. Some of our teachers did teach the fathers, and one lady taught some of the grandfathers. But that gives us a good knowledge base about the families and the community. And I think that is a real strength, because in some of the large schools where you might have 1,800, 2,000 pupils, you don't necessarily see the same faces around school. There's a lot more teachers. You lose that sense of family. So I think that's one of our unique selling points, really. We're small, we care, and everybody knows each other.
Right. It's a good selling point, is that? Working with feeder schools.
Yes.
I mean, what do you guys do to try and encourage the feeder schools to send their best to Upper Batley?
Yes, a variety of things, really. I mean, I'm part of a group within the area called the Be Best Group, which is where myself, colleagues from Batley Girls High School, we work with the feeder primaries just to talk about all aspects of school improvement and running schools within the local area. From that, I then go into the primary schools and I do assemblies for year 6 and year 5 to talk about what life's like at secondary school and allay some of the fears and anxieties children can have about going to a much bigger school. So I go in and often do a hot seat, interview the head teacher. Is there anything you want to ask about secondary school that maybe you haven't? And that's been well received by the primary schools. Myself and members of the senior leadership team go to parents' evenings in primary schools. So I've met lots of members of the community there, just talking to year 6, year 5, and sometimes year 4 parents to help them make an informed decision about the school they'd like to go to. And in addition to that, we also have a transition team and 2 members of our staff, Mrs. Klein and Mrs. Dent. They run the Forest School programme, which primary school children can come up and visit before they arrive with us, and then they carry on that learning once they join our team. And we have other activities such as primary music lessons, some French lessons for primary children, science sessions and maths, and lots of children have been up to do some of our African drumming or some of the maths taster sessions. And equally, we do things such as lads and dads going to visit Old Trafford, etc. So there's some experiences children can have that just help bridge the gap between year 6 and 7, as well as summer school and transition events in July.
Oh, summer school. My son would look forward to that, I'm sure. If he's listening, he'll know. Right, okay. Now then, one of the things obviously schools do a lot is working with charity or within the community. Now, what sort of things are the boys at Upper Batley High doing within the community or for charity purposes? I know there was something that they did with the girls' school as well, wasn't there? There was some pupils who went
to India. Yes, yeah. So we have a joint project with the girls' school that runs every few years called Indiability. And some of the sixth form girls go along with some of our year 10 boys. But they spent about 4 years fundraising because it costs an awful lot of money to go over. But then they support a school with hearing impaired and visually impaired children. And not only is it a good experience for those children to meet and interact with our learners from the boys and the girls' school, but it's a great experience for our boys to go and see how people less privileged than them really value education and value input. And the boys learn to sign whilst they're over there, which is a great skill to have for life. Yeah. But they teach the children some football and take books and resources. And it's very much an all-round holistic learning experience. So that's one aspect, and about putting something back really into communities, which is tremendous. But this year we've seen a real escalation in the amount of charity projects our boys want to get involved with. So we have a group that's affiliated to the Rotary Club. That's called our Interact group. They've all received a special award from the mayor, and they had an opening ceremony for this. They're working on a project about healthy drinking water. So they're raising money for life straws, which each straw lasts for several years. That means that people who live in less developed countries and don't have access to clean, fresh drinking water can use these straws, and it provides, especially children, with fresh, clean drinking water. But the boys' activities in that area have ranged from doing general fundraising. Penalty shootouts are always popular at our school, non-uniform days, but it's much more than that. The boys ran a tea morning and they transformed one of our technology classrooms, and Betty's tea rooms in Harrogate would have been jealous of how good the boys made it look. And then they baked the cakes, they baked the buns, and they served morning coffee and buns to local visitors, to other classes, and it was a tremendous activity. They managed to raise, just in that one event, £200 that morning. Other boys take part in work for Macmillan and cancer care, and there's a lot of research has gone into that, as well as Kirkwood Hospice, which is something quite close to the hearts of many of our boys and staff, and the Forget Me Not Children's charity and hospice. And our prefects currently, our head boy Waleed is a fantastic young man, and he's really keen on charity work. And Waleed and Mohammed Raja, they've worked really hard to make sure that young people see the need to work in the community and help to raise funds. And I think that's inspired young people. We've got a tremendous young man in the current year 7 who's taken it upon himself just to really get involved with all sorts of charity work, and he's interviewed Joe Cox several times already about how MPs can support the local area. And it's raising the profile of our school locally and hopefully nationally, as I say, when we go live this week with the BBC School News Report.
Yeah, man, we'll be looking forward. When is that, by the way? What time does that come on?
So it will be broadcast throughout the day on the 10th of March. So we're looking forward to that. They've been filming and interviewing everybody, and they ask some, quite pertinent questions. They didn't shy away from the target questions, really. So they're asking Joe Cox all about Syria and the conflict that's going on there. They were asking the mayor about pollution and local issues in the community and policing, and lots of questions that many people would ask, but not necessarily ask face to face. And our boys did it very professionally.
Oh, good. I do look forward to that, and I really do hope I see all of that as well. Now, you mentioned some of the work in the community as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, well, the boys have been doing some outreach work with the Salvation Army, which, as you know, is just down at the bottom of the hill from our school. We are very fortunate to have a horticulture area where we can grow our own produce, so various fruits and vegetables. And when it comes to harvest time, those fruits and vegetables are taken down to the Salvation Army to help with their feeding of the homeless or people less fortunate. That's been good. And then at Christmas, the boys ran a big project for Batley Food Bank. Again, that's something quite close to their heart to help less families in Batley were less fortunate than themselves. And the boys managed to raise, just in a couple of weeks, over £400. They took a little shopping trip down to the supermarkets in Batley, filled up one of the teacher's cars. He's got a big 4x4, so it was absolutely heaving at the back, and then took all of that so that over the Christmas period families had toiletries, food, drinks, etc. And the boys just very much want to help other people, and they appreciate how lucky many of them are with their own households and how they want to put something back into the community. And it's very altruistic. Many of our boys, you hear a lot about young people now just being materialistic and greedy, but many of our boys are not, and they really do want to help people less affluent than themselves.
Yeah. Okay. And I wanted to come back to the evolution room, because I know there's some work that's planned for the summer. I believe it's still being looked at as to how much it's going to cost and the rest of it.
Yes.
There's a lot of talk within the community and a lot of people wanting to help. So when will people know how they can help?
Well, basically, we're thrilled by the community support we've received, actually. And Mr. Chopdat, who's our head of maths, who many people will know, he's been at the school for a long time.
Yes.
I'm not sure whether Mr. Chopdat's up to teaching people's granddads. He'll probably tell me off for saying that tomorrow.
No, but people's granddads do still call him Mr. Chopdat. Even though we weren't taught by him, we do still call him Mr. Chopdat. That's
the respect culture, isn't it?
It is.
But he's coordinating this refurbishment for us. So I would say, if anybody who might be interested in supporting the work, we're currently having all the building surveys done, because we are looking to extend the ablution room. As I say, we have one now, but it's quite small for the number of boys who want to use the facilities. So Mr. Chopdat's coordinating the project. So if anybody wants to give him a ring or drop him an email at school, from that, we'll then be in touch over the next month or so. We'd like to have confirmed just after Easter, so by the end of April, exactly the structural plans and the costings, so we can do the work in the summer and have everything opened and ready for September.
Okay, now then, we are going to take another break. Time does fly when we're in the studio. Yes. But we are going to take a break now. We did start off by saying that it's, about the Ofsted grading as good. And after the break, we're going to find out a little bit more about the strong and weak points in the Ofsted inspection. Sam didn't know about this, but she's going to go through that. We're going to take a break. Back with you right after this. Hire the Al Hikmah Center for your weddings, functions, and events, with segregated halls for men and women, including independent access, able to accommodate 1,500 guests, private car park with car park attendants, easy access, great location, and full free Wi-Fi. There's no place better for your special day. For bookings and inquiries, call 01924 500 555 or email info@imws.org.uk or visit our website at www.imws.org.uk. The Al Hikmah Centre, where your special day becomes a cherished memory. Play five-a-side football in the Al Hikmah Sports Hall for just £18 an hour between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Call 01924 500 555. To book a slot at any other time, call 07968 222 886. It is related by Sayyidina Anas radiallahu anhu that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, when a man marries, he has completed half of his religion, so let him fear Allah regarding the remaining half. The Al Hikmah Nikah service launched by the IMWS aims to introduce prospective marriage partners to help fulfill this important aspect of faith. The service is open to unmarried Muslims who are permanent residents of the UK. For more information, visit our website at www.imws.org.uk. Radio IMWS. Welcome back. It's the home straight now. You are listening to Muhammad Zawa on Radio IMWS. Remember, if you do want to get a question, the line's been a bit quiet today. Maybe it's just your Monday blues. But if you want to get some questions in, or maybe you're just enjoying the show so much. I know we've got quite a few listeners on YouTube already. So if you do want to ask a question, you've got 15 minutes or so before the end of the show. WhatsApp or text on 07460809218. Now, Sam, we did mention, now we're going to go with the good stuff first. What were the best things that Ofsted found at the school in their recent report?
The best things were around the improvements in the teaching and learning within school, with students really pushing, staff really pushing the students to achieve the best. And as I say, the number of our subjects who now achieve above the national expectations, despite arriving in school below national expectations, that's something Ofsted were really impressed with, as well as behaviour and attitudes to learning, how focused the students were. They were real strengths. And as I've already alluded to, the changes to leadership and management at all levels. And I do include the learners in that. You know, it's not just about myself and my team. It's about all of the teachers leading their classes to make more progress, and the children in those classes making progress themselves. Equally, it was about how harmonious the school is in terms of it being a school that has a very diverse population from a wide range of social and economic backgrounds, but people who all get on very well in school and who are able to respect each other and support each other with their learning. The marking is something we've worked really hard on. I know when I first arrived in the school, homework was the parents' biggest complaint. There isn't enough homework. And now we've noticed a real change shift in that, with parents being happier. I think parents will always say we want more homework, and children would always say we want less. But we're now working towards children having more to really stretch their learning and apply their learning outside of school. They're only with us for 6 hours a day, so they need to be doing more than that. But we've worked hard on a new marking system called pin marking. And it's lovely when you ask any of our boys this, they can articulate what that means. And it's about the positive aspects of the work, the interesting points, and then the next steps. And that's something that Ofsted said was actually outstanding across our school in terms of really high quality, regular marking and feedback by teachers for students. And parents know, who've looked in exercise books, that all our teachers mark with a green pen, the students respond in red. So you can see a steady flow of a dialogue between teachers and pupils. And that was something that was outstanding, which has really helped to move forward our teaching, because children need to know what to do better next time, and then they need to practice it. So we were thrilled that we've worked hard on that over the last 12 months. So for Ofsted to come in and say, yes, that's made a big impact on standards, was down to the hard work and the dedication of our staff team.
Right, that's brilliant. I was going to ask you about marking, because that's the one thing I always read on Ofsted reports. I never really understand, because in the old days, of course, it was an exercise book, it was a tick or a cross.
Yes.
It wasn't exactly rocket science, but it sounds a lot more complicated these days. And I do enjoy my maths. I think that's revived my personal maths, helping my son do that one. I do wonder why he gets quite so much maths homework. But
well, that's down to that Mr. Chop that together.
Oh, well, in that case, we can't argue with him. Areas which were seen as weaker points?
Yeah, the main areas when Ofsted came just back in 2015 were around progress of the more able, because in our previous results, Ofsted look at a 3 years trend of data. We didn't have enough A's and A stars, partly because some of the children don't arrive with high levels in year 7. But also because we felt our teaching through the last 5 years hadn't really pushed and challenged the more able. That's something that's already better this year by having the new staff team in place. So progress of the more able was one aspect. Also progress of SEND learners, that means children with special educational needs or disabilities, previously had been negative or not as good as it could be. We have found we've got a new team in place just since January 2016. The progress those children are making in school now has increased rapidly through years 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. And we just had an external review on Monday last week of our SEND facilities, because I'm very keen to always get somebody to check this externally. You know, we think we're putting in the right changes, it's having an impact in school, but having an external person to come and audit that is incredibly helpful. So we brought in an Ofsted inspector to come and do a one-day review, and she was very complimentary about the swift action we've taken and the rapid progress we've made in that area.
Excellent. Now, we were just talking about sixth forms, and you mentioned about the changes that the government are putting through. So it's not likely that Upper Batley High will have a sixth form anytime in the future. But one question that parents do have is, where is my child going to go for sixth form? Because Batley Grammar, of course, are closing. They've closed their sixth form. Yeah. Heckman White Grammar are becoming even more selective now, because they've got the pupils from Upper Batley, they've got pupils from all over, including, of course, Batley Grammar as well. And I know some of the students in Batley Grammar are struggling to get into there, even though there was some sort of or allegedly an agreement. So sixth form, what are the boys going to go? Where are the boys going to go when they leave the school? When they leave us?
Well, we are an affiliated school to Heckman White Grammar School and also to Greenhead, which is a fantastic college in Huddersfield. So we find we do a lot of work on what we call careers, advice, information and guidance, which starts with the boys when they're in year 7. And then really helps them start to make choices, because it depends what future they want to take as to which is the best sixth form for them. There's been a local area review in Kirklees at the moment, which, as you know, sixth forms to be viable need to have at least 500 children in them. So we will see more mergers, I think, of sixth forms over the next few years. But we found our boys go to Heckman White Grammar School, they go to Murfield Free Grammar, another excellent sixth form. They also go on to Greenhead, as I've said. Kirklees College with their new facilities in Kirklees are fabulous if some students want to take more of a vocational route. And some students go to Huddersfield New College or St John Fisher's sixth form. What we do to make sure the boy chooses the right sixth form for them is we have some mock interview periods. So in November, all our children have a mock interview in year 11 with local business leaders. That really helps prepare them for the college interviews. This week, we've got some of the sixth forms coming to our school. They set up a base in the hall, and then they do the college interviews with us. And this is where we've established, and very fortunate to maintain these excellent links with the providers. They come in, they chat with Mrs. Goldthorpe, who's in charge of all our careers. And then the boys have an interview in scenarios they feel is safe, because they know school and they're comfortable to be there. But it's teaching them really excellent skills about interpersonal skills and how to articulate themselves, make eye contact, have a good handshake, and all those things that matter not just for college but for university or employment afterwards. So our boys do go on. We're very lucky. We're one of the only schools in Kirklees to have 0% NEETs, which means not in education, employment and training. So all of our boys, when they leave us, go on to the college place or the job that they would like to do with further training. Some are looking at apprenticeships now. But we're very lucky, because I think nationally it's about 7%. So for ours to be 0% and everybody go on to their chosen career proves that the advice we provide is good. Lots of schools have stopped doing work experience now with year 10. We still invest in work experience because we think that gives our year 10 boys, when they're aged 14 or 15, an excellent grounding really into the life of work. When they come to school, it's kind of 8:30 till 3. They finish at 4 if they've stayed for one of our many after school clubs or activities. But when they're working, that could be they're working 9 till 6, and they might have to travel to Leeds or somewhere, and they've got to get themselves there. And all of these life skills are absolutely crucial to boys realising it might have sounded like their dream job, but when they get there and they're in that experience for the week, is it how they imagined it to be? And that helps to motivate them both for their GCSEs when they come back to us, but also in terms of the choice of career they'd really like.
And now, last time, well, sorry, not the last time, but it might be the time before you were in, you mentioned about academies and whether that was, I mean, is that a possibility for the school? Do you think that would be good for the school, or what's your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, all schools now are being pushed really by the government to join multi-academy trusts. And there's a lot of sense in that in terms of working locally with other partners. And as I've alluded to before, we're looking at that setup with the girls' school because we're keen that we remain separate schools. There's been lots of rumours in the community about, are the schools merging? No, they're not. The schools will stay as distinct, separate schools. But we work together on projects such as the Indie Ability Community Project. We have an arts project that works with boys, some of the girls and some of the feeder primaries on the mosaic arts activities. And these are projects we want to develop and sustain. So we're looking at that multi-academy trust link, possibly with the girls' school and other feeder primaries as well over the next few months. Schools now really need to look at academies because it gives you other avenues for funding and a little bit more autonomy with your curriculum, and really about having more freedom to develop the school that you want to have at the heart of the community.
Will academies be a good idea for the long-term schools?
That's an interesting question. I think it is what you make it. It certainly will be for us because we're very lucky that, you know, we are now good and we'll be an outstanding school within the next few years. The girls' school is an outstanding school. So in terms of sending your children to the school of choice in Batley, we feel these two schools provide that best education, really. Whether you are male or female, you've got the pick of the crop in our area. So having some collaboration in that sense seems sensible. And some of the guidance then we can send out to parents if the schools are working together, because if you have a son in one school and a daughter in the other and you get different information about GCSEs, we think that can be a little bit confusing or makes it harder work for parents. But if you're sending out very similar information, it's just the children are educated separately, that makes parental job a little bit easier. You just then go to the right school to ask the questions.
Right. Okay. Now, one of the one area where parents are concerned today, nationally, particularly Muslim parents, is with the Prevent agenda and the Channel program. A lot of parents are of the opinion that children in school, if they end up saying the wrong thing, could end up onto these. I mean, how true is that? I mean, does the school understand the difference between a child asking a relevant question or making a relevant point to someone who's actually giving a radical speech, for example?
Absolutely, yes. And that's about teacher and all staff in schools, professionalism, really. And we're very lucky that we have a fantastic staff team. And I know there's a lot of anxiousness within the community, and I think the word prevent just instantly gets people's hackles up, when really talking about working together is a better way to articulate it, really. And I certainly not in the schools I work with any of the partnerships we are part of, or in our school, do people make, you know, if a child's airing an opinion, that wouldn't cause somebody to make a prevent referral. It only needs to be used in certain circumstances. But it's something that through parent forums and regular dialogues with parents, I think you can put their mind at ease, because children need to be vocal. And as we alluded to before with political debates, they've got to learn how to debate something and look at both sides of an argument. And if they're scared to speak out, that's never going to happen. So schools need to encourage that debate and discussion. And as long as it's always a balanced opinion, then I think that is a duty of care schools have for young people.
Yeah. Okay. And moving forward, because you mentioned a couple of years to outstanding. There's two questions I want to ask you. First of all, it's a bit of a change around. Now, you've achieved a lot in a very short period of time. We've seen along the way, we've seen good, promising, promising accolades. Because one of the most improved, 100 most improved.
Yes.
50. What was that? Most improved.
Yeah, so we made the top 100 schools in the country, and then the top 50% of schools for pupil progress.
Yeah, and then so you've had your teachers, your staff, your pupils have had that, and they've seen that. Now you've hit good, and what tends to happen now is that you've got to stabilize that good. Now, how are you going to motivate the staff and the pupils to make sure the school stays good and heads towards outstanding?
I think we laughed about this in our staff meeting on the first day back in January, because we had the inspection in December. So all the staff then went off and had 2 weeks of a break and a good rest. But when we came back on day one in January, the message was, we've done it now, we've got to good. The next stop is outstanding. And everybody's really up for that. You know, people are on a journey. We're not a school where people would get to good and then go, oh, we've done it now, sit back and rest on the laurels. It's far from that. People want to keep going and achieve outstanding, because that's what our boys deserve.
Yeah.
And if you are a young man in Batley, you need to get the best education, and we feel we can provide that.
Yeah. Now, of course, optimistically, we'd all turn around and say that, well, the next inspection will be outstanding. But realistically, what are you looking at for outstanding?
The real difference between good and outstanding, I think, is that everything is absolutely consistent in every single department, across every single area, and every member of staff in the school, every student is living and breathing the same vision. And that takes a little bit of time. So we feel some aspects of our practice, like the marking, is already outstanding, because that's there now across the team. There are other areas, as we've said, we're working on to improve. So 2 to 3 years is our goal now. It probably take us a couple of years to get the 3-year high trend of attainment and progress for to get that measure really in terms of data. But it's also about all of the other factors, and it's just a case of embedding it. We feel we have the right systems and procedures now. They just have to be embedded, so it's always part of everyday culture. And really, it's part of the bricks and mortar of the school, but the passion is there from the staff. We have the right people in the right classrooms, and the boys are there wanting to do it as well. And during the inspection, the boys were walking around saying, have we done it? Have we got to good? And that shows the culture change in the school, really. So the boys now, like the staff, want to get to outstanding. As you know, Ofsted come back less frequently once you are good. So it's hard to judge when the next inspection will be, but we're looking at any monitoring we have over the next 2 to 3 year period. We get there, and then we sustain it as well, because there's no point getting to outstanding to slip backwards. We want to get there and stay there.
Well, that's what parents want as well. especially me. My son's got 5 years at the school, and he'll be listening. So it's just before his bedtime, though. So he'll be listening. So we do want. Obviously, we're delighted, to be honest with you. We've been very fortunate with the girls' school being outstanding for quite a while, but we've always felt. Well, we did become complacent, to be fair, but we're very, very pleased that the school has got a good now. We're very pleased that there's so much interaction with faith as well, which is good to see, because with all the scaremongering that's going on, it makes a good. It puts a lot of parents at ease, knowing that there's that the schools recognizing the faith of their pupils, and across the board, like you mentioned, about with the prayer room available to everybody.
Yes.
But last thing from you, what would you say to the parent? Now, this is the one. Teachers and head teachers always throw a responsibility onto the parents. So what's the responsibility you'd throw on?
Well, I would say that the best education arises from when there is communication between home, the parents and the child, and it's like a triangle, really. We have the children for 6 to 7 or 8 hours, depending on what after school activities they take part in, and when they're at home they need the same messages. So take reading, for example. Reading's crucial for all children. If they're reading a book at school, we like parents to pick up that book, talk to the child about the book they're reading at home, possibly do some shared reading at home. But it's that culture where learning doesn't stop when the children walk down the drive, but it continues at home. And I really believe passionately about having an open door policy, so parents can come in and can see that what the child's learning. There's nothing better than when we're walking around with a mum or a dad, we pop into a classroom and the child isn't expecting to see their mum or dad there. That can be so powerful, but great for parents as well to see how hard their son is working. But I think the crucial point is really schools and parents need to work together. We're very lucky. I've never worked in a school with such a committed group of parents as we have in Batley. It is a fantastic area for community support and parental support. And that really helps the children to value education and improve their life chances.
Yep, that's brilliant. And last words, any about the school itself?
Well, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I would be biased as head teacher of the school, but it is a great place to be, a great place to learn. And if anybody hasn't been to have a look round, please get in touch, come and visit our school. But otherwise, as I say, we feel we are the school of choice in Batley for high achieving boys. And if you don't want to just take my word for it, come and see us in action.
Indeed, we will, and that's absolutely bang on time. Okay, this has been Muhammad Zawa's special, and we're done on Radio IMWS. My guest this evening was the head teacher for Upper Batley High School, Sam Vickers, and we will return you back to the nasheeds very, very shortly, inshallah. Just before you do that, I do want to thank Sam. Sam, thank you very much for coming in today. I know we tried a couple of times to try and get this sorted out, and you're busy, I'm busy, everyone's busy at the moment, but it's good. It's excellent that you came in. We would love you to come in again and give us an update on the school as well. I'm sure you will, because we do want to continue viewing the progress of the school, and of course that encourages the parents as well to remain active and participate in it. So thank you very much for coming in. Here at the Al Hikmah Center, we have got a job vacancy for a project coordinator. I'm not going to read it all out. If you want to know about it, it's on page 10 of this month's Paygam. So pick up a copy, and you'll be able to find it in there. Applications need to be in by 5 p.m. Tuesday the 29th of March. You got a little bit of time, but if you're after a job 20 hours a week, then this might just be the thing for you. That's it from us. Sam, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And to all listeners out there, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Radio IMWS.